Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the worst average gamer coming at you with a different type of playthrough. We're going to be doing an offline playthrough of ABZU. So, kind of giving you an idea. So, ABZU was released August 2016 by Giant Squid. Now, Giant Squid, if you remember, was one of our previous games. They developed one of our previous games. It was The Pathless, which was an amazing game. The Pathless came out in 2020. This game came out in 2016. So there's quite a bit of gap between the two. But for this playthrough, I'll be going through ABZU. That being said, let's go and kick it off to the gameplay. Now, this was one of my first times playing ABZU. I've always seen it, never actually picked it up, and decided to pick it up for the stream because I wanted to see what all the fuss was about, because I've seen a lot of my indie game. You have to play this game. You have to play this game. So we're gonna play through this game. We're gonna see everything this game has to offer. I've seen it compared to, they say, like a sea version of Journey, like a ocean version of Journey. So we're gonna start a new game right from the get-go. Now, we'll say this game looks absolutely amazing. The music is absolutely amazing as well. So we have musically, graphically, this game is great. This is 2021. This game came out in 2016, and it definitely holds its own still 5 years after launch on a different generation. So we're on PlayStation 5 now, and this game still holds true, still holds great, just like Journey did when I played that about 2 months ago. Now, this game has no sort of narration. It doesn't really give you anything to go off of. It just says, here's our game. Just play. We're not going to really give you a whole lot of story. We're not going to have anything to work with. We just want you to enjoy it, and here we go. The controls are very simple. So we have R2, which allows us to dive, and we have the left stick, which moves us up and down, the right stick, which moves the camera, and then we have X, which boosts. Now, I have found out that if you hit X, 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 it gives you kind of like a super boost, if you will. It does that golden boost. It allows you to move a little bit faster. Here, we're going to get introduced to a game mechanic it honestly doesn't get used a whole lot throughout the game. It's the ability to ride on an animal. Now, I have played through this game once before, and I found that I totally forgot about this feature. To be completely honest, they don't really require it. They just tell you about it, and I think the developers did kind of a bad job in implementing it. Maybe throughout the game, they could have, brought it back. So we have these pools located throughout the game. And if you see them, you go up to them, you press square, which squares your interact button. That's going to go ahead and allow you to release those fish out into the wild. We have these drones. And these drones are plenty. But once again, I'm just lost at the fact that, as you can see, we get a drone. We get an option to get some more here in a second. And I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. There's another one right here. So we'll get a second drone. And then I'll even get a third drone right now in this little entrance area. So we go up here. So if you do a complete 180 from where you found that one, you come up here. There's another one right here. And now we have 3 drones. However, in my previous playthrough, I found that there's not really a need. You could just grab one and be done with it. I don't know if there's a hidden trophy and that's the point of it. These are really cool for the fact that they use real animals. It's not some sort of just fake fish they just throw a filler for. They actually use like a real type of turtle or a real type of fish, which is really kind of neat. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go up to this little wall, and we're going to use one of our drones. And you would think, okay, well maybe the reason they give us 3 drones is because when we use a drone, that drone no longer, it maybe serves its function and we can't use it anymore, but that's not the case. You can actually just do all this with a single drone. As you can see there's a shark. And you can like beacon these things out, and I don't know exactly what it does. They'll mimic me, but I found it not very useful. That maybe it's a sonar or something, but it's not. It's just you hit interact, and then that little drone kind of interacts. But that's pretty much the extent of the square button, the interact button. So this is all we're doing. We'll be going through this temple. And for those of you wondering, this game is not very difficult at all. It is very similar to Journey, how Journey just kind of took you through the whole world and kind of let you take in the game. This is the same thing. Time you go to an area, it'll kind of be dark. You unlock or whatever you're doing there, it'll kind of fill up the space, bring the world alive, and it'll just that's pretty much what it does. So now that we've unlocked this shrine, if you will, it'll open a door and allow us to actually go into the next area. And I will say this game is absolutely amazing as far as how it looks, how it sounds. I've said it once and I'll probably say it multiple times throughout this video. But sometimes it just really catches you off guard. You're just really caught up in the soundtrack. As we can see here, there's some hieroglyphs. But this game, once again, doesn't really do any sort of job with the narration. It just throws that there and kind of will let you maybe put 2 and 2 together without actually telling you what 2 and 2 is. It kind of lets you draw your own conclusion. I've looked online quite a bit. There seems to be a differencing of opinion as far as the meaning behind a lot of this. Now, as you see there, the shark really doesn't like that drone a whole lot. Shark is not a fan of the drone. And we'll kind of see these structures throughout the game. Now the game does have a little bit of loading times, and it doesn't really seem to be fastened by the PlayStation 5. It just seems to be handcuffed at whatever speed the developer put for these loading screens. But they are sprinkled here and there, but it's not enough to really take away from the game. It's a slight annoyance, but nothing too crazy. And we'll get caught through these little jet streams. And your only job while you're in these jet streams is just to go with the flow. It's very cool. And this mimics a lot. There's a part in Journey where it kind of puts you sideways. And I don't know if that's a little shout out to Journey, but I feel like it definitely shares a resemblance with Journey. I don't really know what that's doing, other than it's a cool little graphic. And you're just really just buying your way through this jet stream. It takes you to this area. Pretty cool. And that's its transition, if you will, from this area to our new area. As you can see, we had 3 drones, and now we no longer have drones. So, once again, that's what I was talking about as far as there's really no need to have a bunch of those drones or try to collect them all. Unless there's some sort of trophy. If there is, well then, absolutely try to get them for the trophy. And I'll kind of show you something else that's right here. This is called the Meditation Stone or Meditation Rock. So if you go here, we hit our touchpad. It'll kind of bring us to this really cool feature where it kind of just follows these fish around. And you hit the left stick, obviously like it tells you to do on the screen. And you can move from a different school of fish to a different school of fish. We got a reef triggerfish. We got our emperor fish. We have our anthias. And this is just kind of really cool. So if you want to pretend to be a fish, we can kind of just be a fish, a banner fish. And to get out of it, we hit our touchpad, and then we get out of it. So these meditation stones, that's what those stones do. Which is really awesome if you just kind of want to chill, hang out, and really get a sense of the ocean. It's really cool. So we'll pour our drone out. have another, I believe, set of portals over here. Like, I'm not gonna be getting all of them, but if I see them, I'll go ahead and unlock them. We got our gray reef shark. And I don't know if that really does a whole lot other than it activates it. There are also these conch shells that are lying around. Let's see if I can find one. Got some pufferfish that just got brought out to the wild. Now, I will say, when you're playing this game, definitely take some time to get used to the cameras, get used to the controls, because I figured, so if this game does have one drawback, it's the controls. I played this game, and the controls are probably not the best. They're okay, but they're not the best. So when you first start playing this game, the camera's inverted, so down is up and up is down. For my preference, I found if I made the camera normal, it was a lot easier to control. As far as my preference. I still, for controlling the actual character, I still use inverted, so it's almost like a flight game. There's a conch shell right there. So they're quick. And if you don't spot it real quick and react, sometimes they'll just pass by them. Really cool just swimming with these whales. Got some hammerheads. So if you're a fan of the ocean, this is definitely a game that you should pick up just to kind of nerd out on. If you have PlayStation Now, this game is available on PlayStation Now. That's the that's how I'm playing this. Very cool. Kind of breach with the killer whales. And it'll bring us to this area right here. So same thing, we've lost our drone at this point, so we no longer have our drone. It seems like every time we get in one of those jet streams, we lose our drone. Oh, never mind. I say that, and then the drone's like literally right behind me. So let's all pretend like I didn't say that. So it'll bring us to this other temple. And once again, we're just kind of swimming to that little orb. Very peaceful. I'm not too sure what this symbolizes. As you can see, like, he pulls something out and puts it in the bubble. I know he just swam with these killer whales, so maybe he brought something back with him, or he took their aura. I'm not too sure. This, like I said, this game really doesn't do a whole lot in explaining a lot of this stuff. But I just swam with them, and now we're here with them, and it's kind of... That's what I'm putting together. And I can be completely wrong. Turtles. And then we see like there's this civilization, and you see the shark. They're worshiping the shark, maybe? I'm not too sure. But if you can see, there's a humpback whale right here. And like I talked about with Journey, Journey has this too as you're playing throughout the game. You'll see these kind of hieroglyphs that talk about your journey. So I'm assuming that's kind of what they're hinting at, but yeah. So we see a shark with some energy, and that's that painting. So this is really cool. You can swim through this. Very cool. I will say Giant Squid did an amazing job creating this environment. This environment feels really good. It feels absolutely amazing. This will go ahead and bring us to our next section of the game. I'm not exactly what to call these sections. They're not really outlined anywhere. There's not anything that says, hey, this is the second section, third section, etc. It just kind of, it's hinted by these loading screens. Now what we're going to do, as you can see, there's these chains everywhere. These chains lead us to these spools. And there's two of these. It seems to me that's the theme with this game. There's always two of something when it comes to these puzzles. I wouldn't really call them puzzles. I would just call them interactions. So there's two interactions for almost everything throughout this game. So the other interaction is going to be over there where that hole is. But I believe I'm going to need a drone for this. Yeah, see. So if you don't have a drone, you can press that interact button and it'll let you know like, hey, drone's down there. You'll get it. And then we can see over there's a reef over there. We'll go ahead and launch some more fish. So those fish are already done. I don't know. It's kind of weird. We can go back up top. It'll bring us to this little spool area. Next area with this iron spool we'll have to go to. Kind of look around to see if I see it. That opens our door. zebra shark. Very cool. So if you are a nerd about the sea, this is probably a really amazing game just to play. You'll probably want to sit here and find all those different little reefs to unlock more of these animals. A lion. These are really cool. Keep going through. It's going to bring us to a dark area. And normally when this happens, there's our shark. When I first played this game, I thought maybe the shark was the bad person. Like the bad guy, if you will. Because it destroyed one of my drones, and it's always kind of looking menacing, and normally we're used to sharks being the bad guy, so it just kind of felt like a natural decision. This will bring us to our next shrine. And once again, nothing crazy. We're just pressing the R2 button. And the boost. Now, I'll say with this boost, it does require you to have a little bit of rhythm. It's not like you can't just kind of mash the X button. You kind of gotta rhythm it. This area is about to be brought to life, if you will. This kind of look like whale sharks. Press L2 to kind of I'll do the whale shark. If you look around, very cool. That seems to be like what we just saw in the previous one. Very cool. Seems to be these people that throw in water. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Do this little line. So see here, that kind of looks like some of the entrances we've been seeing. You can see these people kind of. It's like this shark is kind of like their main deity, their main god. And that'll bring us to our next area. So that's what I'm kind of talking about when I say there's not a whole lot of narration that goes along with this. It's very kind of left up to your interpretation of everything. Which games like that are normally really good because it doesn't kind of force feed you this narrative. It kind of lets you develop your own. So when games make you critically think, I think it's a good job on the developer, but I believe maybe sometimes they got to give you something to work with. This is a very amazing scene right here. We see this whale. Here's swimming in a pack. These whales. That's very cool. They kind of do a really good job with this. Yeah, you're just. It's a nice little time that you spend swimming with those sharks. Not sharks, whales, I'm sorry. So now we get introduced to this mechanic, and it's like a mine. Very weird. We got a Goblin Shark. These things are kind of funny looking. Now, I will, with the 100% certainty, let you know, if you touch one of these mines, it will shock you. But there's nothing in this game that will kill you. So you're just kind of swimming through. And I'm not the best gamer out there, so I'm gonna get hit by these at some point. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through. And we're going to follow these lines. Very cool how they're just kind of echoing. And these will kind of shut them down. Very cool. And like I said previously, for every single one of these doors that we have to get through, there's going to be at a minimum of 2 interactions. So we'll go ahead and hit the other one up right here. And you literally just follow this board, stay low. I believe already. Yep. They just kind of daisy chain you. But don't worry, nothing really happened. Like I said, you're not going to die from it. If you get hit, it's okay. And that's going to open up our door to allow us to swim through. We've opened the door for that shark. We've been kind of playing tag with throughout the game. So I figured out why some of those pools are already lit. So, like I mentioned before, I've already played through this game once. So any kind of shells or pools that you've previously activated, they stay activated. As we just heard, one of those mines just went off. How about this shark? And as you can see, the shark is not our enemy. The shark is our friend. So follow these all the way down. I already see kind of a glowing light, so I'm gonna go take it there. The Kraken. There's lots of hidden trophies throughout this game. That apparently being one of them. You're gonna use your sonar to line up everything. So like our previous areas, we'll go ahead and go to the shrine. And light up this ball. Now sometimes the animal that comes out of here makes sense to me. It's probably because I'm just kind of going through the game. I'm not really searching things in depth. But we saw the squid right there, that giant squid, the Kraken. That's going to be the animal that comes out of here. So as you can see there, like you have all these animals. They kind of hint at them like the killer whales were some of the killer whales. The Kraken, the giant squid. We saw it right before we came here. And I don't know if those are supposed to be guardians of this temple or what. That's going to open up our door and allow us to go right through it. That'll bring us to this area where there's a lot more mines. As you can see, the shark is trying to navigate their way through as well. Let me tell you, I mentioned the controls earlier. The controls are, to me, they feel very wonky, but when they work, they work. The few spots that I've actually enjoyed it, I'm like, oh man, these controls are really good. But it's honestly, I feel like it's hit or miss with these controls and the cameras. They're not. I don't feel like they're as consistent as they should be. And I feel like at times they take away from the immersion of this game. So it looks like we're in a factory. They're kind of manufacturing these mines. This is kind of a cool little sequence right here. That's obviously me. And maybe those little things are our life energy. Not exactly too sure. But it had the shark initially, then it had those mines, and then it had me. So you just want to stay clear away from those. Don't get too close to them. Be okay. And if you get hit, it's gonna be okay. As you can see, there's a lot of them right here. Quite a bit of. It's a minefield. And I found if you're like gory and you just keep swimming, look for big empty spots. You know, I think that's the best way. I've gone slow, and every time I've gone slow, I've just gotten completely destroyed by these mines. And I feel like when I just push through and I'm less cautious about it, it's like a less of a chance that I'm gonna get shocked. It's like, look at that. Very pro run through that minefield. Now, I will say right here, the first time I played it, I got an error right here, and I had to restart my game, and I had to do that twice. So, if that happens to you, sorry. So as you can see right there, what happened was the shark was trying to take it down. Throughout the process, the shark got electrocuted. I got electrocuted. And we both, whoop, we sank. And you notice something right there. It looked like I was not a human. Turns out I'm actually a robot myself, which is kind of weird. At least that's what I think you are. You're like one of those things that mine is made out of. So the same people that made those mines are the same people that made you. Maybe it's a civilization where they were trying to take over the world or take over the ocean. You can see there's our buddy, the shark. buddy the shark did not make it. This is where it kind of threw me for a loop right here. I'm like, all right, so it turns out I'm a robot. The shark was trying to kill the robots. That's kind of cool, but you can't jump out. I've tried to do it like a bunch of times. But it turns out I can walk. Cool, huh? And not only walk, he kind of trots. So we'll trot. And this is the part of the game where it introduces you to a second kind of area. It's this above ground sections. And it brings you to these cool animations where they jump, do a dive. Very cool. So just like anything in this game, we'll have two sections, or two interactions. That we'll have to do. Once my person decides to get out of the water. There we go. I'm not going to follow you there, giant squid. So when we do that, it'll go ahead and bring those down and allow us to access those spools again, as we saw in a previous puzzle. And then from here, we can go ahead and open this one and open one more. So it's the chains again. And then we'll have one more. As you can see, it's right there. And there is a trophy if you come here and you do this whole meditation and all these. If you find all the meditation stones, you know what? I wasn't going to do it, but I saw it, so let me go ahead and do that real quick. Helicoprion? Coprion? Go ahead and unlock this door right here. So there is that trophy if you go ahead and you look through all these areas, and I wouldn't necessarily. I think it'd be kind of cool just to sit here and waste some time just swimming around, finding everything, finding all those seashells, finding all the meditation stones. Because this game is it is amazing. But golly, these controls, there's some frustrating controls. So that's the only thing that would kind of, I don't know, deter me from spending hours and hours of just swimming through ABZU. above ground. Which is really crazy because if you've played the Pathless has one of the best control schemes that I've had. It's so smooth. So when I played the Pathless, I was literally taken back so many times just how smooth everything felt and how just natural the game was. Here's another meditation stone. But if you've played the Pathless, and if you haven't played the Pathless, this is your sign to go play the Pathless. The Pathless takes about 6 hours. It's about how much time it took me to complete, maybe a little bit less than 6 hours to run through. But it is absolutely amazing. Giant Squid. They probably took a lot of stuff from this game. They brought it to the Pathless. But there's a dramatic difference. So, good on Giant Squid. Look at this. So, very cool. So, good on Giant Squid for kind of learning maybe where they had issues with the controls in this game. And they fixed them. Already got that one, I guess. And if you want to kind of take a look at the Pathless, I have a whole playlist. It's 6 parts on my YouTube channel. And I'll go ahead and, if I'll figure out how to way to link it, I'll link it right here. Right where I'm pointing. So if you haven't seen the Pathless, you want to check it out. Check out the Pathless in my video up above. But it plays absolutely amazing. So, Giant Squid did a tremendous job with the controls in that game. And I guess, like I said, there's about a 4-year gap between when the Pathless came out and when ABZU came out. So they definitely learned a lot of things. Between it, I guess those release cycles, if you will. But I can't recommend the Pathless enough. It's amazing. So that being said, we've done those 2 interactions. Now we're getting to this next area. And as you can see here, we're kind of looking around some more hieroglyphs. It looks like that shell. So those are the shells that you collect throughout the game. We have a bunch of sharks, shells, and people. Once again, it really doesn't... Maybe if we took the time to kind of decipher that, it would make a little more sense. But I'm more of a casual playthrough player. I'll play through games. I found out that if I try to 100% a lot of games, I don't really get through them. And when I don't get through them, I kind of get stuck. And I just kind of press on and I don't actually finish games. So I've made a deliberate effort to fight my urge to want to 100% all these games. And just let myself enjoy the game. Play the game. If I see something, I'll get it. If I don't, I'll keep going. very like I said, this game very cool. How they speed things up with the music and they create excitement through the visuals, but they also create excitement through the soundtrack. It's so good. Very cool. Now we have two locks. One's gonna be when you come in, one's gonna be on the left, and then one's gonna be on the right. So we'll lock these two, it'll open up a ground door. If I can learn to swim. So we're gonna go ahead and go through that bottom kind of whirlpool. And we'll see how this plays out. So now we're kind of at the center of all these shrines. So we have the squid, the whale sharks, the manta rays. We have the shark, which is our main, I guess, our main animal. Very cool. Because they're the king of the ocean, if you will. But as you can see, the shark got brought back. We're getting brought back. We have this gold kind of skin to us now. That's going to play a big factor here in this next part. So with this different kind of skin, we can swim much faster. We can actually break through these binds because we've turned essentially into the Gold Ranger, if you will. We're kind of breaking these chains and turning them back into like pieces of the ocean. So I guess this is where the game kind of takes place. We are kind of defeating this enemy with our shark friend. As you can see, the spirit of the shark flows next to me. And every time I use a boost, there's kind of like this bigger gold area. And you don't necessarily have to turbo through these things. Just touch them. As you can see, the fish are trying to help me out. We're kind of reclaiming everything. So that's pretty cool. We got some killer whales now. We're back. And every time we defeat one of these, it's kind of raising the ocean up. Exposing more of the area to swim. So you can hit the cord as well, apparently. And every time we defeat one of these, one of those shrine animals kind of comes back with it. Those are the whale sharks. So I don't know if the key for this or the meaning behind this is we're kind of like saving the ocean. So this one's a trick one. There's one above the water as well, so we'll hit all of them. So we're going through these mines. This is the trick one. First try, let's go. Not gonna lie, so that one, the first time I played through this game, took me about 3 or 4 tries to get it. It's because you just gotta time it right. Like I said, sometimes the controls, they feel amazing, and sometimes the controls just don't feel amazing. So my kids were watching me play this earlier. They said this is like the mothership. So before we cared about hitting these, we don't care about them now. Because we're the Gold Ranger, and we're just destroying these things. We're just like, what do you got for me? Nothing? Nothing. You don't got nothing for me. We're just like, can't nobody hold me down. Oh no. Are we gonna blow this up? And it gets kind of taken over by nature. So nature kind of overgrows it, showing that we conquered it. It couldn't stop us. And that brings us to the end of the game. That is ABZU, created by Giant Squid. It was published by 505 Games. Amazing game. And right now, I'll go ahead and talk about what I think about the game, what I think the game ultimately is trying to tell us, and my overall kind of assessment of the game. So the game, start off with what I feel the game is trying to tell us. So I believe it's an analogy where like the robots, like that scuba diver person, where the robots, we've created this humanity where we're kind of ruining the ocean, right? So we are essentially destroying the ocean. We're putting the stuff in the ocean, but by turning everything around towards the end, you saw the scuba diver, you saw the shark, they were going through and they were destroying the stuff that was made by that civilization and kind of letting nature take back over. So maybe what the game's telling us is it's never too late if we want to try to fix things. That it may look like it's in dire need or dire straits and we're just it's beyond repair, but the game is trying to tell us that nothing's beyond repair if we take, if we have the proper motivation, maybe if we have the mindset that we can actually make a difference and make the change, we can make the change. And that's why ultimately everything that was made by that civilization got, engulfed by nature, and we see nature thriving again. We see nature, basically taking over and letting nature do its job. And that's my kind of takeaway from this game. You can still kind of control them, I believe. Yeah. So if you want, you can just swim with the shark. Just hold on the shark. Connection. There we go. Great white shark. So that's what I feel the game's trying to tell us. Is there's never a time where it's not too late to fix things. Now, how I feel about the soundtrack, it's phenomenal. The environment of all these sea creatures we're kind of swimming alongside with, phenomenal. My only gripe is the controls. The controls feel very, at times, great, and at times not so great. It's the biggest disparity I think I've felt playing a game where at times I'm like, this is great, and then at times I'm like, it's not great. A lot of it has to do with camera controls. So I did figure out if I did fix the camera controls, the movement got helped out quite a bit. So definitely, if you're playing this game, feel around for the camera. It'll definitely help the experience out a lot. Now, my overall assessment of this game is it's great. It clocks in at 1 hour and 8 minutes. We've played through this. So this can be picked up and played and beat very quickly in one sitting. And despite the control issues, I feel like the game is still really good. It still really holds up. It's 2021. This was released in 2016 and still holds up. So I definitely recommend this game. Just be aware that the controls are just a little rough at times. But other than that, the environment, the music, the animals, they're amazing. Good job, Giant Squid. You did a good job with the ABZU. You did a phenomenal job with the Pathless. So 2 for 2 with the games I've played from Giant Squid. That being said, this brings us to the end of the stream, at the end of the video. If you like it, go ahead, watch some more videos by me. If you can, there's a button on the other side. Go to subscribe. That way when I release a new video, you get a notification. Other than that, if you're watching this, thank you for the support. It truly means everything to me. That if you like the video, subscribe. If you just watch it, period, it's truly amazing that people are watching my videos. They're supporting this channel, and they're allowing me to do something that's amazing, which is play games and get to experience these games with you. I'm going to be starting to do a lot more of these offline playthroughs because I have these shorter type of games that I want to play through, and I can hit them in good spurts. So be on the lookout for more short videos that I'll be posting on here in my offline playthroughs. I love y'all. Thank you for watching. Until next time, this is the Worst Average Gamer. Peace.